Leo stepped carefully from the human shuttle onto the smooth, glowing surface of Virelia. The air shimmered with soft blue light, and strange, enormous plants swayed gently despite the lack of wind. He adjusted his helmet and took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and nerves. He had traveled far from Earth, crossing countless stars to reach a planet that humans had only heard about in reports and legends. The city before him was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towering crystalline towers reflected the sun in dazzling patterns, while floating walkways crisscrossed the streets below. Alien citizens, tall and graceful with shimmering skin and luminous eyes, moved with an elegance that made Leo feel clumsy by comparison. Despite their differences, the aliens seemed calm, their expressions showing curiosity rather than hostility. Leo's mission was simple but important. He was here to establish peaceful contact and to learn about the Virilian people. He had been trained for months in diplomacy, their culture and language. Still, nothing could prepare him for the reality of walking among beings so different from humans in every way. As he moved toward the central plaza, a soft voice spoke in his ear through his communicator. "Leo, remember to stay calm. The Queen's daughter will be present at the ceremony. Do not make sudden moves." It was Commander Neela, his supervisor, back on the ship. Leo nodded, though she could not see him. He adjusted his posture, reminding himself to be respectful and careful. The plaza was immense, circular in shape, with terraces rising like steps around its edge. In the center stood a grand platform carved from a single crystal, glowing faintly from within. Around it, citizens gathered in neat lines, watching quietly as the ceremony began. Leo noticed many Virelians whispering to one another, their glowing eyes fixed on the center. And then he saw her. Mira, the daughter of the alien queen Solara, floated onto the platform with the grace of a being born to command attention. Her shimmering skin was a soft silver, and her long, flowing hair seemed to shift colors with each movement. Even from a distance, Leo could see the intensity of her gaze as she looked over the crowd. There was a sense of power in her presence, as if the ground itself acknowledged her authority. Leo felt a pang of nervousness. He knew that any mistake here could be catastrophic. The humans were strangers to Virelia, and one wrong move could start a conflict. He focused on his breathing, keeping calm as he followed the protocol that had been drilled into him for months. The ceremony began with a series of flowing gestures and melodic sounds. Virelians moved in synchronized patterns, their hands tracing symbols in the air that glowed briefly before fading. The symbols represented unity, respect, and strength. Leo watched closely, trying to memorize each motion, though he knew he would never match their fluidity. As the ceremony continued, Leo moved forward cautiously, trying to find a safe place to stand. He was so focused on the proceedings that he did not notice a small, hovering device glide past him. He instinctively stepped aside, but in the process he bumped lightly into Mira's side. The moment his shoulder brushed hers, the entire plaza seemed to hold its breath. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. Leo froze. He had no intention of touching her, and yet here he was, standing too close to the daughter of the most powerful being on the planet. Solara's voice thundered through the plaza. "Who dared to touch my daughter?" The words echoed like a storm, vibrating through the crystal towers and silencing every whisper. The glow around Mira intensified, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with the queen's anger. Leo's heart pounded. He knew that answering incorrectly or even hesitating could be dangerous. He took a careful step forward, hands raised slightly in a gesture of peace. "Your Majesty," he said, keeping his voice steady, "I apologize. It was an accident. I did not mean to." The queen's eyes, sharp and piercing, locked onto him. Every citizen in the plaza turned to watch. Leo could feel the weight of countless gazes, all waiting for his next words. Mira looked at him with surprise and a hint of curiosity, her initial shock fading as she realized he did not shrink under her mother's glare. "You call this an apology?" Solara's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "You touch my child, a member of my family, and you speak words? Do you understand what you have done?" "I do, Your Majesty," Leo said, his tone respectful. "I understand that it was inappropriate to be so close. I only wanted to move aside and avoid the device. It was not intentional, and I meant no harm." There was a long pause. Solara's eyes narrowed, studying him as if trying to read his very thoughts. The crowd remained silent, hanging on the tension in the air. Mira, meanwhile, seemed to soften slightly, though her posture remained dignified. She whispered something to herself, almost inaudible, and then looked at Leo with a small, almost imperceptible nod. Solara's voice broke the silence again. You humans are bold to step forward in the face of my wrath. Why should I not punish you for your arrogance? Leo bowed slightly, keeping his voice steady. Because I wish to understand your people, your majesty. I came to Virelia to learn and to help establish peace. I respect your authority, your customs, and your family. I only wish to be a friend, not an enemy. The queen studied him for a long moment. Her glowing eyes seemed to pierce into him, testing his sincerity. Finally she spoke, her tone slightly calmer, though still commanding. Very well. You may speak, human. But know this, trust is not given lightly. You must earn it step by careful step. Any misstep, and you will leave this city in disgrace, or worse. Leo nodded solemnly. I understand, your majesty. Mira floated closer, her expression still cautious. It was an accident, she said softly, her voice carrying over the plaza. He did not mean to touch me. Solara's gaze softened just a fraction, though her voice remained firm. See that it does not happen again. The safety of my daughter is paramount. You will be watched, human, to ensure that your intentions remain honorable. Leo felt a mix of relief and awe. He had survived the initial trial of courage simply by speaking truthfully and respectfully. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. Winning the trust of Virelia would be far more challenging than a single apology. The ceremony resumed, but now with a cautious watchfulness directed toward him. Leo moved carefully, observing every gesture, every symbol, every glance. Mira occasionally looked at him, and he caught glimpses of curiosity and intelligence in her eyes. She was not just a princess. She was sharp, capable, and aware of the world around her. As the day progressed, Leo found himself guided by a young Virelian official named Taven, who explained the customs and rituals in quiet tones. Taven was kind and patient, clearly willing to help a human navigate a culture so different from his own. Leo absorbed every lesson, determined to show that humans could be honorable and thoughtful, even in the face of alien scrutiny. By the time the sun set over the crystal towers, casting long beams of rainbow light across the city, Leo had learned much about Virelia. He had learned about its rituals, its values, and its people. And most importantly, he had learned that even in a world so alien, courage, honesty, and respect could bridge the gap between species. As he prepared to return to the shuttle for the night, Leo looked toward the palace. He could see Mira standing on the balcony, her silver skin glowing in the fading light. She watched him with an unreadable expression, and for the first time he felt that maybe, just maybe, he had taken the first step toward earning the trust of not only the queen, but of Virelia itself. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, trials, and lessons. But tonight, as the stars of Virelia twinkled above him, Leo allowed himself a small moment of pride. He had faced the wrath of an alien queen and had not faltered. That was no small thing, and deep in the shadows, unseen by the human eye, a few citizens whispered among themselves. Perhaps humans are not so weak after all, one said quietly. The adventure on Virelia had only just begun. The next morning, Leo awoke to the soft hum of the alien city. Through the window of his temporary quarters, he could see the crystalline towers bathed in the pale light of Virelia's twin suns. His mind was still replaying yesterday's tense moment, the queen's fury, Mira's cautious gaze, and the whispers of the crowd. He had survived the first encounter, but he knew the real challenge was still ahead. A knock at the door startled him. He opened it to find Taven, the young Virelian official who had guided him the day before. Good morning, human, Taven said with a faint smile. The queen requests your presence. She has decided to test you. You must prove that your intentions are honorable. Leo nodded, swallowing a wave of nerves. I understand. I will do my best. Taven led him through the city, past streets filled with tall, elegant Virelians going about their morning routines. Some stopped to stare, their glowing eyes studying Leo with curiosity and skepticism. Others whispered to each other, clearly intrigued by the presence of a human among them. Finally, they arrived at a massive gate carved from the same crystal as the towers. Beyond it stretched a dense labyrinth of shimmering walls, twisting corridors, and glowing symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. Leo felt a surge of awe. This was the test, the trial of courage, a ritual older than any human record. It was said that only those with a pure heart and sharp mind could pass it. Solara's voice rang out from above the gate. Leo, step forward. The trial will measure your bravery, wisdom, and respect for Virelia. Fail and you leave this city immediately. Succeed and you earn a measure of trust. Do not underestimate this challenge. Leo took a deep breath and stepped through the gate. The walls of the labyrinth seemed to shift around him, glowing symbols lighting the path ahead. He could hear distant sounds, echoes of movement, faint whispers, and the soft hum of energy that filled the air. Every step he took required careful thought. The paths were not only physical but mental. Illusions and puzzles awaited at every turn. The first challenge appeared quickly. A deep chasm split the path in two. Glowing runes hovered over the gap, shifting constantly. Leo knew that he had to choose the correct pattern to cross safely. He crouched and studied the symbols, recalling what Taven had told him about Virelian logic and patterns. After a careful calculation, he stepped onto the glowing path. The stone solidified under his feet and he crossed safely. A wave of relief washed over him, but he knew better than to let his guard down. The labyrinth was designed to test more than just intellect. It tested empathy, courage, and respect for life. In the next chamber, he found a small, delicate creature trapped under a heavy crystal. Its wings fluttered weakly and it made soft, distressed sounds. Leo instinctively moved to help, but then paused. The air shimmered and he realized this was another test. The path forward required him to either ignore the creature to advance quickly or help it and risk a delay. Without hesitation, Leo lifted the crystal carefully, freeing the creature. It chirped softly, hovering near him before flying toward a glowing exit. The walls of the chamber pulsed and a door opened, allowing him to continue. A quiet voice seemed to whisper in his mind. Bravery is not only in facing danger but in protecting the innocent. Leo's respect for the Virelian way deepened with every step. He began to understand that this labyrinth was not just a test of skill, but of character. He moved on, encountering illusions that tried to trick his senses. Shadows of Virelians accused him of false intentions. Walls shifted to make paths disappear. Each time he paused, considered the options, and acted with honesty and integrity. Hours seemed to pass. The labyrinth challenged him in ways he had never imagined. At one point, he came to a vast chamber filled with mirrors that reflected not only his image, but his fears and doubts. In the reflections, he saw himself as weak, failing the queen, bringing shame to humanity. His heart pounded, but he took a deep breath and focused on what he knew to be true. He had come to Virelia with respect, courage, and honesty. He refused to let fear control him. As he moved forward, he encountered Mira. She stood quietly in the center of the chamber, her silver hair glowing softly. "You have come far," she said. "Few humans would even attempt this path. Why do you continue knowing the risks?" Leo looked at her, sincerity in his eyes. "Because I wish to show that humans can be honorable, that we can respect your people, your culture, and your laws. I do not seek glory, only understanding and friendship." Mira's gaze softened. She had watched him from a distance before, but now she saw the truth in his words. "Many of my people doubt your kind. I do too sometimes, but your actions speak louder than words." Before he could reply, the walls of the chamber shifted, revealing a new path filled with towering columns and glowing glyphs. The final trial awaited. Leo approached cautiously, aware that this would be the most challenging part. The path narrowed and the symbols pulsed faster, demanding quick thinking and precise action. Suddenly, a massive holographic creature appeared before him, roaring with an alien sound that shook the chamber. It lunged forward, its eyes blazing. Leo froze for a split second, then remembered the lessons he had learned. Bravery was not about fighting recklessly. He studied the creature's movement and noticed patterns. Its attacks were predictable. Timing and respect, not aggression, would win this trial. He moved with careful precision, dodging the holographic strikes and finding openings to advance. He did not attack with malice but guided the creature's energy away from himself, redirecting it toward the glowing exit. Finally, with one last careful step, he reached the other side. The creature dissipated, leaving behind a calm, glowing space. Leo exhaled deeply, his body trembling from exertion and relief. He had passed the trial of courage, not by strength alone, but by intelligence, empathy, and honor. A door at the far end of the chamber opened, leading him to a balcony overlooking the city. Solara stood there, her figure towering and regal. Her piercing eyes studied him carefully. "You have survived the trial," she said. "You acted with courage, wisdom, and respect. Few humans would have passed where you have." Leo bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only wish to honor your people and learn from them." Mira stepped forward, her expression unreadable but softer than before. "You have shown that humans are capable of more than we imagined. I see your heart, and it is true." Solara's gaze softened just slightly. "Perhaps humans are not as weak or reckless as some believe. You have proven that your kind can hold honor and courage, even in the face of the unknown." The plaza below erupted in murmurs of approval from the citizens who had watched the trial unfold through the city's magical observation system. Many whispered about the bravery of the human, and a few even nodded in respect. Leo realized that his actions had begun to change perceptions, bridging the gap between humans and Virelians. Mira approached him, her eyes reflecting curiosity and respect. "You have taken the first step," she said softly. "But there is more to learn, more to understand. If you truly wish to earn the trust of our people, your journey is only beginning." Leo nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "I understand. I am ready to learn whatever I must." As the sun set over the crystalline towers, casting golden light over the city, Leo felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and alien trials and had come through with honor. He knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges: diplomacy, cultural lessons, and perhaps even political intrigue. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of peace. Solara's voice echoed in his mind, not with anger this time, but with measured authority. "You have passed the first test, human. The road ahead is long, and the trust of Virelia will not come easily. But know this: courage and respect are the foundations of all great alliances." Leo looked at Mira, standing beside her mother, and realized that humans were capable of greatness, even in the most alien of worlds. He had earned a small measure of trust, but more importantly, he had begun to show that humanity could rise to meet challenges, not with arrogance or force, but with wisdom, empathy, and courage. And deep within the labyrinth, where the glowing symbols faded into shadow, the first whispers of hope began to spread among the Virelians. Perhaps, just perhaps, the human was more than they had expected. The adventure on Virelia had only grown more real, and Leo knew that each step forward would test not only his body and mind, but the very principles that defined humanity. The morning sun cast long, shimmering beams across the crystalline towers of Virelia. Leo awoke in his quarters, his mind still alive with the memory of the trial of courage. Passing it had earned him a cautious respect from Queen Solara and a glimmer of trust from Mira. But he knew the road ahead would be more complex than navigating a labyrinth or facing illusions. It would test his ability to understand alien society, its politics, and its customs. Tavin arrived promptly, as always, carrying a small, glowing device that projected images in midair. "Leo," Tavin said, "today the Queen has a special assignment. You will attend a diplomatic gathering. The purpose is to negotiate trade agreements, cultural exchange, and shared knowledge. Your role is simple: observe, learn, and demonstrate humanity's respect and intelligence." Leo nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He had trained for diplomacy, but nothing could fully prepare him for interacting with an alien council. He followed Tavin through winding streets, past marketplaces filled with strange fruits, glowing artifacts, and intricate fabrics. Merchants called out in melodic tones, offering goods that shimmered like liquid light. Citizens paused to glance at the human walking among them, their curiosity visible in the subtle glow of their eyes. The building that housed the council was enormous, its architecture both alien and majestic. Transparent walls stretched high into the sky, and platforms floated gracefully around a central chamber where delegates from across Virelia had gathered. Each delegate had unique markings and colors representing their city, clan, or specialty. It was a place of wisdom and influence where decisions that affected the entire planet were made. As Leo entered, he felt a sudden awareness of his difference. He was the only human in the chamber, small and solid where others appeared tall and luminous. Whispers rippled through the room, some expressing skepticism, others curiosity. He kept his gaze forward, breathing steadily, determined to project calm and respect. Mira appeared beside him, her silver glow softening the tension. "Do not worry," she said quietly. "Many here doubt you. But the Queen has seen your courage. That is enough for now. Speak only when invited. Observe carefully. And remember, every action matters. Leo nodded, feeling a surge of gratitude. Mira's presence was reassuring, a bridge between him and the alien world. He followed her to a low platform at the side of the chamber, where a small holographic table awaited him. Symbols flickered across its surface, representing Virelian protocol, agendas, and discussion points. The gathering began with a ceremonial chant, a harmonious combination of melodic tones that resonated deep in Leo's chest. He listened carefully, noting the rhythm, the pauses, and the emphasis. It was more than music, it was a language of respect, unity, and authority. He tried to mirror the posture of the delegates, sitting upright with deliberate attention, allowing his presence to convey humility and openness. The first discussion was about trade. Delegates argued passionately about resources, technology, and the sharing of knowledge. Some were skeptical about humans, questioning whether they could be trusted to follow agreements. Leo remained silent, observing the conversation carefully, noting the priorities, concerns, and unspoken rules that guided the debate. Finally, a delegate with deep blue markings and eyes like polished sapphire turned toward him. "Human," she said, her voice calm but firm. "You have been present during our deliberations. What can your kind offer Virelia that we do not already possess?" Leo took a deep breath. "I understand that humans are new to this world," he said. "But we have knowledge, creativity, and the ability to solve problems through cooperation. We may not have your history or your technology, but we bring determination, adaptability, and a willingness to learn. We do not wish to replace what is here. We wish to work together, to share and to grow." A murmur passed through the delegates. Some nodded thoughtfully. Others exchanged skeptical glances. Mira's eyes glimmered, reflecting quiet pride. She knew the courage it took for Leo to speak confidently in a room filled with beings who had lived in this society for centuries. The next challenge came unexpectedly. A delegate with green and gold markings stood and presented a complex problem, a dispute between two clans over the ownership of rare energy crystals. Both sides were powerful and tensions ran high. The delegates looked to Leo, curious to see how a human would respond to an issue of this magnitude. Leo listened carefully to both sides, taking note of their arguments, the emotions behind their words, and the logic they used. He realized that a hasty answer could create offense. Instead, he spoke slowly, deliberately. "Perhaps there is a way to share these resources," he suggested. "If both sides agree, the crystals could be used to benefit both clans with a plan to rotate access or combine efforts. Cooperation can create results that conflict never could." There was a moment of stunned silence. Sharing resources was not a common solution, and yet Leo's proposal was simple, fair, and practical. Mira leaned slightly forward, her expression impressed. Slowly, the delegates began to murmur approval. A few nodded openly, while others hesitated but did not reject the idea outright. Solara's voice cut through the chamber. "The human demonstrates understanding, fairness, and ingenuity. These are qualities that my people value, yet seldom see in those outside our world. Let this proposal be considered, not dismissed." The debate continued, but now with a subtle shift. The human's perspective had introduced a new possibility, reminding the council that strength alone did not always create solutions. Leo observed, learning more about Virelian politics in a single morning than he could have imagined. During a break, Mira approached him again. "You have done well," she said quietly. "But there are more lessons. Not all of what you see is open to outsiders. Secrets, traditions, and loyalties run deep here. You must observe carefully and act with respect. One misstep, and the trust you have earned could vanish." Leo nodded. "I understand. I will do my best to honor your people and learn." The afternoon brought a different kind of test, a ceremonial ritual to demonstrate empathy and understanding. Delegates were asked to recount stories of their ancestors, their challenges, and their triumphs. The room resonated with deep emotion, and each story revealed not only history but the values that shaped Virelia. Leo listened intently, sometimes asking questions when invited, always with genuine curiosity. He learned about families torn apart by conflict, communities rebuilt through cooperation, and leaders who sacrificed personal gain for the good of many. He realized that understanding a culture was not just about rules or technology. It was about people, history, and values. Finally, As the sun dipped below the horizon, Solara addressed the human directly. Leo, you have observed, listened, and participated. You have shown respect, insight, and courage. Not all outsiders earn the chance to stand in this chamber, and fewer still leave with the trust of Virelia's people. Know that your actions today will be remembered. Leo bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm honored and humbled. Mira smiled, her silver glow softening. You have taken another step, she said. Tomorrow you will see that trust is only the beginning. There are still challenges, tests, and lessons ahead, but today you have shown that humans can rise to meet them. As Leo walked back to his quarters, he reflected on the day. Passing the trial of courage had tested his bravery, but today had tested his mind, his understanding, and his ability to navigate alien society. He realized that being human did not mean relying on strength alone. It meant using intelligence, empathy, and respect to connect with others, even when they seemed completely different. That night, Leo sat by the window, gazing at the glowing city. The twin moons of Virelia rose in the sky, casting silver light across the towers. He felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, but also a deeper awareness of the journey ahead. Building trust, learning a new culture, and fostering friendship between worlds would require patience, wisdom, and continued courage. In the shadows of the city, whispers carried among the citizens. Perhaps the human is not so weak, one said. Perhaps he is. Different, another voice added. Different, yes, but capable. He may yet prove himself worthy. Leo did not hear these words, but their truth seemed to echo in his heart. Humanity had arrived on Virelia, and though he was only one human among millions, his actions had already begun to shape the future. By showing courage, intelligence, and respect, he had begun to break down barriers and build bridges where fear and doubt once ruled. As sleep claimed him, Leo dreamed of the labyrinth, the council chamber, and the glowing eyes of Mira and Solara. He understood now that every challenge he faced was not just about survival, it was about representing humanity's best qualities. Honor, empathy, courage, and respect were tools more powerful than any weapon. The adventure on Virelia was far from over, but for the first time, Leo felt that he was not just a visitor. He was a bridge, a symbol of what humans could achieve when guided by their highest principles. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the city, Queen Solara and her daughter watched, silently acknowledging that perhaps the human could rise to the challenge. The journey of diplomacy, understanding, and friendship had only just begun. The day began with a low hum that resonated through the crystal towers of Virelia. Leo woke feeling the weight of yesterday's diplomatic challenge still on his mind. Passing the trial of courage, and earning some measure of respect from the council had been significant, but he knew the hardest test was yet to come. Today he would face a challenge that was not only physical, but also demanded quick thinking, courage, and ingenuity. Tavin arrived promptly, holding a tablet with glowing holographic maps and diagrams. Leo, he said, the Queen has received troubling reports. A sudden energy surge has occurred near the outer sectors of the city. It is causing disturbances in communication systems and creating instability in the energy grids. The Queen wishes to see if you can help assess and resolve the situation. Leo's stomach tightened with both fear and determination. This was more than a trial of diplomacy. It was a test of his problem-solving skills under real pressure. I will do my best, he said, and followed Tavin toward the transport platform that would take them to the affected sector. The city stretched below them as they flew, sunlight reflecting in brilliant patterns across the towers. Citizens paused in their daily routines, watching the unusual human and his guides. Leo felt their curious eyes but focused on the task ahead. When they arrived at the sector, the sight was astonishing. Waves of blue and green energy rippled across the landscape, striking buildings and floating vehicles. The air vibrated with a strange hum, and small shocks of electricity leapt across the surface of the ground. This is dangerous, Tavin said, voice tense. Stay close. Many here have fled, but the Queen believes the source must be investigated. You will not be alone, but your actions may determine whether the disruption spreads or ends peacefully. Leo nodded. He moved carefully, examining the environment. The energy was unpredictable, appearing in pulses, surges, and arcs that shifted in rhythm. He realized quickly that it was not a natural phenomenon, but the result of a malfunctioning energy conduit. Someone, or something, had triggered it accidentally or through carelessness. "Look there," Taven said, pointing to a tall, crystalline tower at the center of the sector. "The core conduit is exposed. That is where the surge originates, but reaching it will require navigating unstable energy fields and damaged walkways." Leo took a deep breath. He remembered the lessons of the labyrinth, courage combined with careful observation and problem-solving. Running recklessly could worsen the situation. He needed to assess, plan, and act. He began moving cautiously, noting patterns in the energy pulses. Using a small device, he could measure the intensity and predict the moments when it was safe to advance. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate. Sparks leapt from the ground, and for a moment a wave of fear surged through him, but he steadied himself. Humans were capable of adapting, of thinking in moments when instinct alone might fail. As he approached the tower, Mira appeared, her silver glow visible even through the crackling energy. "Leo," she called, her voice carrying over the hum, "you must be careful. Many have tried to stabilize the conduits and failed, but I trust you. Your approach is different." Leo glanced at her, feeling both reassurance and pressure. "Thank you," he shouted back. "I will be careful and precise." The tower was massive, with a network of conduits running along its surface like glowing veins. He examined them closely, noting damaged sections that pulsed erratically. Using his tools, he began to redirect energy, adjusting conduits to stabilize the flow. Every adjustment had to be perfect. A single miscalculation could trigger a cascade failure. Time seemed to stretch. The energy pulses grew more intense, testing Leo's focus and patience. He had to move fast, but also think clearly. Using his understanding of basic engineering principles, he rerouted power through auxiliary circuits, absorbing shocks in one section while stabilizing another. Sweat ran down his face, but his mind remained sharp, calculating, analyzing each step. Suddenly, a massive surge shot through the tower, knocking Leo off balance. He stumbled but did not fall. Recalling his training, he used a support harness to anchor himself, steadying his tools and recalibrating the conduits. Mira watched anxiously, from a safe distance, her silver glow flickering with concern. "You can do it," she called. "Trust yourself. I believe in your ingenuity." Leo's heart pounded. This was a moment of truth. Every human quality he had relied on, courage, intelligence, adaptability, and respect for life, was being tested at once. He focused, using the patterns he had observed earlier. Timing, patience, and precision became his allies. Slowly, methodically, he restored the flow of energy in the damaged sections. The final pulse came like a wave, stronger than before, threatening to destabilize everything. Leo held his ground, adjusting, rerouting, and balancing the surge. His hands moved with determination, guided by both knowledge and instinct. The energy shimmered and then slowly calmed, the hum fading into a steady, safe rhythm. A deep silence followed. Leo exhaled, his body trembling from exhaustion, but his heart swelled with accomplishment. The city was safe. The conduit stabilized. The surge that had threatened the sector was no longer a danger. Mira floated closer, her expression a mix of awe and admiration. "You did it," she said softly. "No one expected a human to handle this. You have shown us that your kind can rise to any challenge." Solara appeared at the edge of the sector, her presence radiating authority and power. "I have observed your actions, human," she said. "You did not rely on brute strength alone. You analyzed, adapted, and acted with wisdom. This is a rare quality among outsiders." Leo bowed, feeling the weight of the Queen's gaze. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I could to help and to honor your people." The citizens of Virelia, who had gathered at a safe distance, began to cheer quietly. Whispers of respect for the humans spread through the crowd. Many had doubted him, but now they saw a different side of humanity. Clever, brave, and capable of problem-solving even in the most alien circumstances. Mira approached him fully, her silver glow illuminating the area. "You have proven yourself again," she said. "But more importantly, you have shown that humans are not reckless or weak. You think, you adapt, and you act with care. These are qualities that earn trust faster than any words." Leo smiled, feeling both relief and pride. "I have learned a lot from your people," he said. "From you, Mira, and from the lessons of Virelia itself. I hope to continue learning and helping in any way I can." Solara's expression softened just slightly, the first sign of genuine approval. "Perhaps humans are more than our legends suggested," she said quietly. "You have faced danger, acted with intelligence, and preserved life. That is no small achievement." As night fell, Leo and Mira walked together toward the city, the energy of the towers casting a soft glow around them. "You know," Mira said, "many of my people feared humans. They thought you would be reckless or careless. But you are different. I see qualities in you that we value deeply." Leo nodded humbly. "I only wish to represent humanity well, to show that we can rise to challenges without causing harm, and that we can work together, not against each other." Mira's eyes reflected a thoughtful glow. "Then you have succeeded in ways words cannot fully describe. But remember, the journey is not over. Trust, respect, and understanding are earned over time. There will be more tests, more challenges, but you have shown that humans can meet them." The night was calm, the city sparkling under the twin moons of Virelia. Leo reflected on the day's events. He had faced not just a physical challenge but a test of ingenuity, courage, and composure under pressure. Every human quality he had relied upon, curiosity, adaptability, problem-solving, and respect for life, had proven essential. He realized something profound. Being human was not about dominance or strength. It was about using intelligence, creativity, empathy, and courage to solve problems and build trust. On a planet so different from Earth, these qualities had allowed him to stand alongside beings far older and wiser, not as a stranger, but as a respected ally. In the quiet of his quarters, Leo felt a deep sense of purpose. The journey on Virelia had grown more complex, but he had proven that humanity could meet its challenges. Each step forward was not just a personal victory, but a bridge between worlds, a symbol that cooperation, courage, and respect could overcome fear and doubt. As he drifted to sleep, he thought of Mira and Solara, of the city sparkling under the alien moons, and of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and perhaps new tests of character. But tonight, he allowed himself a moment of quiet pride, knowing that humanity had made its mark on Virelia, not through force, but through courage, intelligence, and honor. The morning on Virelia was filled with soft light, reflecting off the crystalline towers and casting shimmering patterns across the city. Leo stood at the edge of the central plaza, his heart steady but aware of the importance of the day ahead. After surviving the trial of courage, navigating the diplomatic council, and stabilizing the energy surge, he had earned respect. But the ultimate challenge remained, to demonstrate that humans and Virelians could truly work together in harmony. Tavin approached him with a holographic tablet, showing the schedule for the day. "Leo," he said, "the Queen has arranged a final assembly. Delegates from every sector of Virelia will meet along with Mira and myself. Today you will propose a plan for collaboration between humans and Virelians, one that can benefit both civilizations." Leo's pulse quickened. This was no longer a test of courage or skill. It was a test of vision, understanding, and leadership. He nodded. "I understand. I will speak honestly and thoughtfully." As they walked through the streets toward the assembly hall, citizens paused to watch. Some nodded respectfully, others whispered. Word of Leo's previous actions, the labyrinth, his diplomacy, and his ingenuity during the energy surge, had spread. Many were curious, some skeptical, but all aware that a human stood among them who had proven himself capable. The assembly hall was vast, its ceilings high and walls transparent, offering a panoramic view of the city. Delegates from all sectors filled the room, their eyes glowing in anticipation. At the center, Queen Solara sat with Mira beside her, her posture regal and commanding. Leo could feel the weight of their expectations, and yet he also felt the support of those who had begun to see humans differently. Solara's voice echoed through the chamber. Today the human Leo will speak. He has faced our trials, observed our ways, and acted with courage, intelligence, and respect. Now he will present a vision for cooperation. Listen carefully, for this may mark the beginning of a new era. Leo stepped forward, bowing slightly. He could feel the weight of countless eyes upon him, but he remained calm, recalling all that he had learned from Virelia, its people and its culture. Honored Queen Solara, respected Mira, and esteemed delegates of Virelia, he began. I come before you as a representative of humanity. We are new to your world, yet we wish not to dominate but to cooperate. We bring knowledge, creativity, and the desire to learn. Together, humans and Virelians can achieve far more than either of our peoples could alone. He paused, allowing his words to settle. There are challenges we face, differences in culture, understanding, and technology, but these are not barriers. They are opportunities. Opportunities to learn from each other, to share knowledge, and to build a future in which both species thrive. We can create systems for shared energy use, education, and exploration. We can exchange ideas, technology, and culture. And most importantly, we can learn to trust one another as we have begun to do here today. A soft murmur rippled through the assembly. Some delegates nodded thoughtfully, while others exchanged glances. Mira's eyes reflected pride, and even Solara's gaze softened. Leo could see that his words were making an impression, planting the seeds of possibility. One of the delegates, a tall Virelian with deep blue markings, spoke. Human, your words are bold. Many of my people doubt outsiders. Why should we believe that humans will honor agreements and act with respect over time? Leo met the delegate's gaze steadily. Because humans are capable of learning and adapting. Our history shows that we rise to challenges not through force alone, but through cooperation, courage, and understanding. I cannot promise perfection, but I can promise sincerity, effort, and respect. Actions speak louder than words, and I am prepared to prove it daily. A few delegates nodded, impressed by his honesty. Mira stepped forward. I have witnessed his courage and intelligence firsthand, she said. He has faced trials that would have overwhelmed many, and yet he acted with care and respect. I believe his words are not empty. They are guided by the same principles he demonstrated during the labyrinth, the council, and the energy surge. Solara remained silent, her glowing eyes fixed on Leo. After a long pause, she spoke, her voice measured but approving. The human has shown qualities that are rare even among Virelians: courage, intelligence, and honor. Today he offers a vision. It is up to you, the delegates, to consider whether humans can be our partners. I do not make this decision lightly, but I trust that your judgment is wise. A series of discussions followed, longer and more detailed than any Leo had yet experienced. Delegates debated logistics, fairness, and the implications of collaboration. Leo listened carefully, contributing only when invited, always mindful of the cultural norms and values he had been taught. He offered practical solutions, demonstrating human problem-solving while respecting Virelian traditions. At one point, a dispute arose over resource allocation. Two delegates argued heatedly over access to rare minerals. Leo observed, recognizing the tension and potential for conflict. Carefully he spoke. Perhaps these minerals can be shared through a rotational system with joint management teams. This way, both sides benefit and no one feels excluded. Cooperation can create results that competition cannot. The assembly fell silent. Some delegates nodded slowly, impressed by the simplicity and fairness of the proposal. Mira glanced at him, eyes shining with approval. Solara remained thoughtful but did not oppose the idea. Hours passed as discussions continued. Leo found himself increasingly respected, his perspective valued, and his ideas considered seriously. By the end of the day, a preliminary agreement had been reached. Humans would work alongside Virelians in shared projects, focusing on education, energy management, and cultural exchange. It was a modest beginning, but it represented a significant breakthrough. Solara rose, her presence commanding silence. Let it be known that today we take the first step toward partnership. The human has proven that courage, intelligence, and respect are not bound by species. Trust is earned, and today it has begun to grow. Let this be a new beginning for Virelia and for humanity. The crowd erupted in applause and murmurs of approval. Citizens who had once doubted humans now looked with curiosity and cautious optimism. Mira stepped forward, placing a hand on Leo's shoulder. You have done more than survive trials or impress delegates, she said softly. You have shown that humans can be partners, friends, and allies. You have opened the door to a future that was once unimaginable. Leo smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. I have learned from your people as much as I hope you have learned from me, he said. This is only the beginning. Together we can achieve things neither of our species could do alone. Solara's expression softened fully, the first true sign of approval and respect. Perhaps humans are not so different from Virelians after all, she said. Your courage, intelligence, and honesty have earned recognition. Continue to act with honor and the future will be brighter for all of us. As the assembly dispersed, Leo and Mira walked through the city together, the glow of the twin moons reflecting off the crystal towers. Citizens paused to watch, some nodding, others whispering in quiet admiration. Leo realized that his actions had not only proven humanity's capabilities, but had also inspired hope and curiosity among the Virelians. Mira glanced at him. You know, she said, there were many who thought humans would be reckless, untrustworthy, or incapable. Today you have changed that perception. But remember, trust is a living thing. It must be nurtured and protected. Leo nodded. I understand. I will continue to act with respect and care every day. This is more than a mission. It is a responsibility and an honor. The city sparkled beneath them as they walked, a symbol of harmony and possibility. Leo knew that the journey was far from over. There would be challenges, misunderstandings, and obstacles ahead. But now there was also hope, respect, and partnership. He had shown that humans could rise to meet challenges, not with force, but with intelligence, courage, and honor.